We'll start with the last press conference for today, which is based on the closing process for the polling stations and the closing of the voting process, the process of the material delivery, and the start of the counting process. What Greek and its 33 partner organizations throughout the country would like to note at this time is that the process of the voting process has finished, and the citizens have expressed their will, and we commend the citizens for the massive participation and for the calm participation in voting in a calm and orderly manner and respecting the calls of all of the relevant stakeholders, including here domestic and internationals, and showing that now the sovereign voted and it is now the time for the process administrators appointed by three main political parties, so the Socialist Party, the Democratic Party, and the Socialist Movement for Integration, which need to be objective and comply completely with the law and respect the will of the voters. Counting every ballot in a fair and just and correct manner based on the detailed procedure and in a transparent manner. Actually, we would like also to commend the political parties and the messages they have made. It is important, and the three major political forces and their supportive coalitions are called upon to continue this type of behavior and during the voting process, and not only today, while the materials are still incoming from a number of polling stations to the counting places, but also throughout the counting process that will continue throughout the night and the following days. And we hope that they provide the relevant support to all of the commissioners in the commissions for the election administration zones for a process that is calm and orderly in order for the counting and the process to be as adequate as possible and for the results to be as timely, as accurate as and in complete compliance with the will of the voter. We also commend the administration throughout the hierarchy of the election administration structures, even though there was a challenge of using technology in a very short period of time and in a very short time frame. There was very good use of technology, but also when they were not able to, they quickly adapted and moved forward to the manual identification. We have information that the process was accurate and adequate, but our observers are still observing until the final tallies are counted and also until the relevant complaints by the political parties that may have any are filed and reviewed. We would also like to commend all of the observers, the media, for a great coverage of the process today and also respecting the election silence. But of course, we would like to thank the domestic and foreign observers that have covered the entire territory of the country. given strong messages in support of a free and fair process and supporting the will of the citizen as an imperative towards the Euro-Atlantic values that Albania aims to achieve and the challenges that Albania needs to overcome on its path to European integration. Of course, the Greek observers and all of the partners observers have played an invaluable role, reporting in real time and complying with all of the plan of the observations and allocation. The process is still ongoing in some in some administration commissions where the materials are still not delivered yet completely, while in some others the process has started regarding the counting. The latest information that we have says that now the process has started, the counting process has started in Kazaz 77, in Kultura, in Selenica, Kazaz 87, in Zaz 71 in Postets, in Zaz in 82 in Konespol, in 78 in Memalie, in 67 in Polichan, in Zaz 10 in Has, Zaz 7 in Puka, Zaz 25 in Shiag, Zaz 8 in Fusharas, Zaz 76 in Permet, Zaz 17 in Glos, 28 in Kamza, and Zaz 72 in Devol. So in these counting stations, the counting process has started now, while in the rest they are continuing with the delivery of the materials. It is important to note some of the progress to date, up to this moment, regarding a number of incidents that need to be provided as information for the general public. In the municipality of Lora, in polling station 4387, voting was closed at 8:20 because it started late because of the problems with the electronic identification equipment. While this process of closing and delivering the materials was delayed also by other reasons, such as in polling station 398 in Fusharas, in the municipality of Fusharas, where the observer of the Social Democratic Party has attacked a police officer and was arrested by the police while the process was suspended. The delivery process was suspended, so there were delays in that regard while the case is being followed up upon by the police. What we should note in this process is that in a majority of cases, Greek observers have been allowed to observe the process of material delivery, while in a number of them, the Kazaz has not allowed them, even though there were interventions. But of course, we understand the heavy workload in the Zaza and a practice which is instilled but is not correct as regards not allowing observers, whether international or domestic. This is not right because the election code provides that every election process needs to be observed to ensure maximum transparency. That is why in many Zazas they were not allowed, so in 17 and 18 in Buciza, 13, 15 in Leja, and in other Kazaza, While the process of ballot box delivery is delayed in a number of commissions, election administration commissions, or problems where there was a high influx of deliveries at the same time, but also in Shkodra, in some of the polling stations, there were some issues related to technical problems regarding the incorrect sealing of the ballot boxes and the materials. Another incident in Libovsha, in Fier, a person threatened with blunt objects the commissioners, and he was also arrested by the police, held by the police, and this also led to delays in deliveries. In the meantime, we'll go into some of the main findings that are related to the methodology of the statistical observation regarding the closing of the process. Full details regarding this will be provided tomorrow in the preliminary statement of for findings and conclusions that we will be publishing tomorrow morning. But what we can say regarding the procedures, the closing procedures, we can say that in general, the closing procedures were timely in 83% of the polling stations. In 3% of the polling stations, there was still lines outside of the polling stations that with voters that wanted to vote. We noted no cases where citizens wanted to vote and were not allowed to vote, always at the end, at the closing time. As regards to the closing of the voting, there was complete agreement by the commission members to close the voting process. There was no lack of agreement regarding this. As regards the presence of observers at the closing process, the report is that 74% of the polling stations had presence of the party observers at closing, while in some 60% there were domestic observers, while in 10% foreign observers. In 2% of the cases, there were unauthorized persons in the polling stations when the latter were closed. And in these cases, these people were party affiliates. The process of sealing with a security code happened at 100%, of course, including here some technical details that are maybe a result of the inadequate training for some of the commission members. However, the process has moved along 100% based on and in line with the relevant procedures. The voting equipment, where it worked, it facilitated the work and also provided the report and the record automatically in 73% of the cases. As regards damaged ballots, there were a number of them in 12% of the polling stations. The closing logs and records were signed in agreement in 100% of the cases, and the same is true. So in all polling stations, the seals and the envelopes with election materials were sealed and closed adequately, which shows agreement by all members. All commission members have copies of the records, and even the observers have them. And only in 15% of the polling stations, this record was not given to the observers. In 97% of the polling stations, the police employee that should accompany the election material and the vehicle were on time, and in 99% of the polling stations, the materials were accompanied by the chair of the polling station, the secretary of the polling station, and the police officer. These were some of the main findings in the as regards the closing process in the polling stations and the handover of the materials. As we know, the process continues in some of the zone election commissions, as we noted before. In more than 20 ZAZs, the process of the counting process has started. We should note that it is important that the political parties and the candidates understand that they should keep their calm and not to create artificial situations which are overloaded around the counting stations. The legal framework and technology have improved transparency, thanks also to the good law implementation will and also proactive behavior of the CEC and here I would like to note the latest instruction and the clarification that when the process ends, the counting process that ends for the election subjects, the CEC will provide copies of the video for the process of the counting to all election subjects and the candidates, and also to validate autonomously the votes that are given, the ballots that are given to all candidates. It's important to support the commissions and also to understand the importance that they have in translating the will of the voters in actual figures, which in the records, of course, in the record for the counting of every polling station, and then translating them into mandates for parliament of the relevant political parties that will deserve to govern in the next 4 years. It is important now that the citizens spoke, they gave their message with their seemingly massive participation, and we're looking forward to the counting. It is now the time for the political forces, through their emissaries and their representatives in these administration commissions, to reflect this will, and it is now the time for these forces to maintain calm in the process facilities and not overloading, especially the outdoors of these counting places with artificial gatherings that may create tension that could impede the work of the commissioners. A call to all exponents of the political parties, especially majority and high officials, whether members of parliament, chairpersons, directors, and so on and so forth, if they go to the to the counting stations, they need to be accredited as observers. They should not go in these counting stations and artificially increase the tensions in the vote count, in the ballot counting stations. This is not only to anticipate and to prevent any unnecessary tensions, but also to maintain loose less populated situation and environment in the context of the pandemic. We call on everybody to comply with the law fully and to obey only with the law and the decisions that the commissions make, including here not allowing any unauthorized person or any individual, whoever they may be, to enter the counting station without the accreditation accredited identification. Thank you. These were the findings and the messages that we wanted to relay right now as the observation action. Now, the strict observers are with every zonal election administration commission, following closely their work based on what the legal framework provides for them during the counting process. And of course, the observers of the counting process are, of course, there to see how the ballot counting groups will continue with the counting process and complying with the relevant procedures. As regards the details of this process, we will keep you posted in the following, in a press conference that will be held tomorrow. After the press conference that will be, of course, held, and where we'll be publishing the declaration of the conclusions and initial findings for the entire election process of April 25th, which will be held tomorrow morning, and where we'll inform you through email and Facebook and social networks. And of course, it will be provided again in a hybrid format with journalists on in the room and Zoom platform. If we have any questions, so we could like to open it right now. Okay, no questions. So thank you very much. We will see you again next tomorrow in the next conference. Thank you very much and good night.